and this is another reason why this conversation is important. I feel like the DJ and the producer worlds, like they have found themselves like lately, they were here, right? They were like apart, and then like all of a sudden, I feel like they're like overlapping, right?
Yeah.
They're overlapping because like a lot of people feel like the best producers also know how to DJ, and producers at this point need to know how to DJ because like. As far as exposing yourself and like making what you do widely known as a producer, like you probably need to pull up and you probably need to play sets and play beats and like that's like performances for producers have become like a more prominent thing. So like now we have to go perform this music, and you either got an SP and you just going stupid with that, or you're finding a way to make your music blend and like not be so jumpy.
Right.
So DJs are the way, like DJing is the way to not make your music jumpy, right?
Not necessarily, because some DJs have that same approach. Like, like even if I look at somebody like Just Blaze, right?
Yeah.
Just Blaze, when he does his DJ sets, it's you don't listen to Just Blaze and be like, oh, he about to get crazy with the blends.
Right.
It's not like. You're not thinking transitions. You're just appreciating the fact that he's lining up his music in a way that's palatable.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where like you're not like you could go places and like say take a producer and you could see that producer and like you said, he just going sicko on the MPC.
Yeah.
Right, just going crazy. Where if you're like he's the producer's favorite guy.
Yeah.
Right? Because, yo, you don't even understand the layers, bro. Yeah. Where, like, the average person sitting there is like, yo, he making mad noise. Like, I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, and then producer's like, oh, my God.
Right.
Like, we're all losing our mind because we know what he's doing. Like,
So you take, again, the average person, and you put them in the room, and you let them listen to Just Blaze, and then you let them listen to somebody like Jazzy Jeff, and you're like, yo, Just don't know what he's doing. You need to let it go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's just you... They don't know how to appreciate what's actually happening.
Right.
So it's the same way. Like producers, I think, and I learned that just being at Controllerize. Like, I'd sit there and saw jokers just go ham sandwich on the MPC, and I'd be like, "Yo, when is he done?" But then I've evolved. You know what I mean? I've evolved, and I started to learn to appreciate it. And I'm sitting there like, "Yo, you don't even understand." Like, you know what? Like,
you know what I mean?
It's
some, like, okay. So one of the most frustrating things for me. And I have this conversation with my fiance a lot, right? Because for her, like we'll be listening to a beat, and like I can tell that it's like just a loop, which there's nothing wrong with just looping. Some of the greatest have just been loopers, right? Mad lit. It's a ton. Like we can rattle off a lot of names who just like loop. And looping can be a beautiful thing. But like trying to explain to somebody why, this other producer who has all of these micro chops and like this original bass line in it, and like he put a filter on this part of the sample and then it's moving and there's some automation over here. Yeah. And like you can't explain to somebody who just listens to beats that like that loop is better than all of the things that just happened. Right? Yeah. And like for us sometimes it's like, but you don't even know what we just did, though. Like, we just did so much, right? And, like, that's why producers go crazy for each other, I feel like.
Right. No, DJing the same way. It's so when you go on record pools and you downloading music, you could download music where, like, give me a song. Like, let's go with, what's the Jacob Meet Me at the London?
Let's go with that. Scott. Yeah.
Okay. You could download a song, and they're called intro outros.
Yeah.
So when you download, it's like 32 bars or beats of instrumental before the vocals hit.
Right.
Or you could just get the song.
Right.
Where it's like maybe an 8-bar intro like any typical hip hop record.
Right.
And then it goes. R&B is an even tighter window, right?
Right.
Okay. So same thing. I could go anywhere and I could listen to a DJ and then I'll sit there and listen to him play 3 to 4 songs. And I'm like, it's all intro outros.
Yeah.
It's a turn off instantly for me.
Right.
Because it's like, I could teach you how to do this in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
Where
like, there's some nuance and some levels.
When a person gets the record for what it is, like I'm not going to do intro outro. I'm just going to get the record and I'm learning how to drop stuff on the one. And you see how he brought that on the snare. And he blended these 2 songs with this one over here syncopated. Now we're having a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there listening to it like, yo, he is going crazy right now. Like, you don't even understand.
Like,
and people like,
he ain't really doing
yo,
much.
I just want to hear Savage by Meg. I don't
Yeah.
really, you know what I mean? And then I'm sitting there looking at them like, I'll never DJ for you, right?
Yeah. I feel it.
So it's same.
So from DJing, right? How did you transition into this? Like, because first of all, like Bernard said, last album is fantastic.
That joint is rocking.
Right.
Thank you.
That song, yo. So first, I'm improving my life. Is just we're gonna stay there
Handful?
for a second.
Yeah,
like please,
Handful is dope.
Like please.
Love is always is my joint on that.
Wow. Okay, that's fire.
Like how do you transition from being a DJ to somebody that wants to be in the studio creating this process, and not only that, like tell everybody like what you do, because like it's not as simple as you just made an album. Like you didn't just make an album, like you were really instrumental in how this album came together. Like I want you to, because people need to know like how wide of a range, like how big of a word producer is, right? Yeah. Like how did you come to be a part of that process?
All right, true story. We dropped the album February 28th. We started working on it. We dropped the album February 28th, 2020. We started working on it in, I want to say September 2019.
Okay.
Go back to September 2018, and it's almost like poetic how this happened. September 2018, American Sushi Studio, they having a block party, and they hit me up because I've been in there a couple times just doing different stuff. I wasn't doing production stuff, but I just knew them. They was the homies. Hit me up. We're doing a block party. Love for you to play a set. Cool. Can I bring my podcast? Because at the time I was doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Bring the podcast. Sweet. What's the budget? We don't really have a budget. We just doing this on the muscle. All right, cool. Is there any way that I can negotiate with y'all like a 2-hour block of studio time?
Right.
For sure. You got it. Fantastic. Because in my mind then, just being a DJ, I was like, yo, I want to do an album one day.
Yeah.
Right.
No clue or concept what that means.
Right.
Cool. Hit up everybody. Yo, we going to studio. Come through. I had like live musicians there at rappers. I had a poet. I had all kinds of stuff. I'm like, yo, we about to do this thing, right?
Yeah.
We get in there and session starts. What we about to do? Looking at me. I'm like, all right, Joe. So I want to put together the album. Go create.
Yeah.
And they all looking at me like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what you talking about? So what ended up happening was 2 hours of essentially what turned out to be just like some weird jam session. The drummer dude was like, he gets into like a real nerd conversation about drums with this other guy. They're over there working on like drum rolls and stuff like that. My man is over here. He playing with the saxophone. Shorty over there, she just like, yeah, you know, I just love poetry. And I'm sitting there like, I have no concept of nothing. So I'm sitting there like, this is good. Like, no, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
All right. I spent the next year still wanting to do an album. But I spent the next year gigging. And I started paying attention to, because all at the same time, I'm coming into what my identity as a DJ is going to be.
Right.
I'm really locking in on what my sound is, how I want to sound, the type of music I love playing, and all of this stuff. Because unlike some of my peers in the space, I don't download or keep up with all the latest and greatest music. It's just not what I do. Like, I try to keep, I had a residency, and I was like, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together somewhere around like 400 songs inside a crate.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go out and play this 400 songs in various variations.
Right.
Almost like a comedian. Like, I'm going to go to these nightclubs and I'm going to just work on these jokes. And then finally, when I got it tight, then I'm going to go shoot the hour special. Right. Same concept. So I would go to the residency. I would play out of this crate. And then when I got it tight, now I'm a gig. Right? All right. In the process of doing that, I figured out my identity.
Right.
I know what I want to sound like. I know what's me. What's my vibe? What's my energy? Now, call homeboy in August 2019. It's like, yo, studio, let's do this. I want to really work on this project. All right, cool. Now I'm starting to get into the A&R part of it. Like, now I'm like, all right, I know what kind of beats I want.
Right.
So now I'm shopping for beats.
Right.
And we like figuring those things out. But I know what I want to sound like.
Right.
I didn't know that in 2018.
Right.
I had no clue. Now I know what I want to sound like. Now I know what I want to hear. And now I know the type of music I want to make in terms of concept. Right. So now I'm able to communicate to them. Not only do I know it, but I know it well enough to where my guy that's on the album, Alfred Nomad, he's in Cali. He lives in California.
I just sent him like 30 beats.
Yeah, he lives in California.
Yeah.
Cooley Savant, King Cooley now, she lives here. So not only do I know what I want and I know conceptually what I want to do well enough, I know it well enough to be able to say, we're going to put this whole album together through a Google Drive. So we're making the album through Google Drive. And I'm like, literally, we got the Google Doc and I'm like, yo, we should do a song that has about their artists. I DJ. We know what it's like to be sent on or to go to an event. And they're like, yeah, you get to the door, like, just tell me your name. You good. You on the list.
Yeah.
And you can bring a +1 with you. So let's do a record where we're talking about that experience of us from the standpoint of being artists and me being a DJ. But your +1 is your +1 in life.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
Okay. Yeah.
So in turn, the record +1 comes up. Shout out to Duran Ratchford. Duran is a musical arranger for Rhapsody.
Okay.
And so he works close in a lot of ways with like Guru and Knife.
That's crazy.
Like on her project. And he plays saxophone. He does. So like on the album, it's maybe 3 or 4 of his productions that he actually made himself. So he cooked up the beat for that. And then boom. And then we just got everything in the folder and we just start crushing out concepts and stuff like that. Or like Cooley, she would come and be like, yo, I was thinking about this record and how with black people we don't have to always go in white spaces to look for acceptance. Like we can be accepted in our own spaces.
Right.
And bring our own sand to the beach.
Right.
So to speak. Right. In turn, the song turns into seashells. And that's literally how it started happening.
Right.
So she would cut all her vocals and send back over through Google. Alfred would do the same thing. Cut all his vocals, send everything in back through Google, and then I would take all of the records. We made that whole album, and collectively, we only had 2 real studio sessions.
Right.
And even when we had the 2 studio sessions, it was live musician work. Right. Every track on the album has a live instrument on it.
Right.
So, which all of that came from, that was like myself. Like, that was like, I want to do something that has live instrumentation on it. I want to do something that feels like, it's not all just digital.
Right.
So to speak, right. So, but you got to remember, in the process of doing all of this, especially when it comes down to the technicalities of sound and being able to like elevate how I listen.
Right.
I know how to listen, especially from the standpoint of being a DJ. I know how to listen.
Right.
But from the standpoint of creating music, it's a different ear.
It's a different thing. Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of like learning that at the same time.
Right.
In real time.
Right.
So I'm learning that, and then I'm going in the studio with Jamie, and we're working on mixing the album down. And our first couple mixing sessions was, I ain't gonna lie, like I was bored to tears.
Yeah.
Cause I don't really know. Like I'm like, he in there with his mixer engineer's ears on.
Yeah.
And I'm in there like, yo, why do you keep playing the same thing over and over again?
Because you have to.
But right.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that until like a few sessions later down the line,
and
right?
Like, oh, that sounds great.
I got I got it, right? Yeah, which comes at a cost. So if you're gonna do this, understand that like it, especially on your first time out, you're gonna spend some bread because you don't know what you listen for. Like you don't know what you're trying to do. Like your ear's not there yet.
Right.
So what I started doing was I started listening to, again, music that was near and dear to me, which in turn was like, I was telling him, like The Roots. I started listening to like Erykah Badu and like Madlib and all of these got Mos Def, Talib. I started listening to these records.
Right.
And by listening to them, it's like, yo, these are some of my like favorite songs or songs that I enjoy most, right? Lo and behold, that's the ear that I started taking to the studio with.
Right.
So when I would go in the studio and we would work on stuff, and it was like, how this sound, or like, yo, let's take her vocal here,
right? Or
can we put this much air in the beat, and like doing that kind of stuff like that, which was really me just kind of producing what it was that I enjoy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. The cool part about it is I didn't necessarily know that that's what was happening.
Right.
I just now had a better idea of what I'm listening for and what I want to hear.
Right.
And that was it.
Nah, I love it, bro. I love it.
It wasn't like I wasn't like the master of like none of that trash.
I mean,
like,
still, I think that there's something to be said about like this idea because, you know, at the end of the day, like some of the dopest things are collaborative efforts, right?
Yeah.
There's a ton of bedroom producers who do everything like themselves, but like it's different when you start encompassing, like, you know, you might have a guitarist or you might have like somebody add little vocals. Like the collective, I feel like sometimes when it's a collective, like you can like reach something much higher than one person can do all on their own.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's the importance in like highlighting this conversation because like, you know, me personally, I am a very like sensitive ego bedroom producer.
Beats, brews, and life.